Hi, guys.
We're a little late.
No, it's okay. Perfectly okay. I love this film. It's so much. I honestly think there's so much in here that I loved that it's hard to just pick one thing. There's so much. But Brea, first and foremost, this is inspired somewhat by a true story, correct?
A little bit. There is a story of a nurse who was killing people in Texas in the 90s when I was growing up. So in some ways it is inspired by that, some ways inspired by urban legends, and some ways just inspired by being in hospitals and seeing nurses. And my brother is a nurse, and watching nurses deal with the BS they have to deal with.
Now, I love that this is set in the 1990s. I'm a child of the 90s as well. Why was that decision made for this film?
I mean, people say write what you know. I'm a child of the 90s. And because of the urban legends stuff, I wanted to set it at a time where it sort of made sense. But also, all of the characters are kind of based on people I knew, or based just on folks I knew growing up in East Texas. And I feel like those people really exist in the 90s to me. So like, it would be hard for me to take them now, because
Right.
that was when I knew them, was when I was actually living there and seeing all these people on a day-to-day basis and seeing them do, you know, the crazy crap that they did all the time. Not necessarily trading organs, but, you know, the way they spoke, the way they acted, I kind of wanted to be able to capture that.
Now, Nikea, chat me up about Karen. I want to know a little bit about Karen.
Well, first of all, I love Karen.
So do I.
Yes, thank you. I love how unbothered she is about everything, but also you could tell that she's been doing this for a while. She's on her P's and Q's. She makes sure you don't know, my own little backstory, you don't know that she knows everything that's happening, and she knows that all of this stuff, but she's also putting out fires. That's my imagining. She's putting out fires of her own, while allowing Mandy to handle it, because there is a little bit of trust that she does have in Mandy. And not to say that something on this caliber has happened to them before, but I think they're very smart and quick, and they were able to fit, even though everybody seems really silly and it like how crazy and dumb can you be, but I also think the way it's solved a little bit kind of shows that maybe we might have thought about it.
Right.
Like if a scenario like that might have happened, how would we handle it? or just being quick on our feet.
Sure.
When I read Karen, I was like, I have to do this. First of all, Brea is a brilliant writer. Like, I read that script in maybe like 10-20 minutes.
That is crazy.
I might be exaggerating, but it was fast because it just moved so quickly. And I was like, if they can I literally was sitting there, it's good when you could picture it. And I was picturing me at the nursing station and talking to Mandy, and I didn't know who was going to play who. But that was even before I auditioned for it. And I was like, I have to have this. And it was 7 pages of sides. Okay. It was basically all Karen scenes, right? So I'm just falling in love with her. And I'm like, if I don't get this, I'm going to be devastated. And then, yay, I did it.
Now, Brea, I have a question for you, because this is really refreshing, mainly because honestly, the women feel like humans in this, and that's something that I immediately thought was like, oh, this is brilliant, because you have these female anti-heroes, which is awesome. Can you talk to me about why that decision was made, and how come it's taken so long for us to have seen this on screen?
Yeah, it was, thank you for noticing that. It's something I really wanted to show in this script, was the female anti-hero, because I feel like there's so much talk right now about having, parity for women on screen, and these really juicy roles for women. But the one thing I feel like I don't see is, we write these really great roles for women, but they're always like up on these pedestals, which is also great. And I love that as well. Like, I'm ready to watch the like RBG movie or whatever. Like, I'm happy for these movies, but I wanted to see a woman have a lot of flaws, and all of the female characters have a lot of flaws. They do illegal things. They do things that are bad, but then I still want you to be rooting for them by the end. Because I think, like my little feminist rant is that in order for us to see women as equals on screen and in life, we have to treat them like humans, and humans have flaws, and women therefore should have flaws because they're human. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to see a cool female anti-hero. Like I wanted to see someone running around with a bunch of organs and them all trying to figure this out the same way we get to see, you know, John Wick do things, or, you know, the one I always point to is House, because there was like a billion seasons of that show House. And he's just a jerk all the time. But we still want to watch him. And what was great about the actresses that came onto this movie is that they were able to take these complicated roles that are funny and dark and also like kind of bad, like bad people in some ways, and make them people that we want to cheer for at the end.
Well, just for me being a Black woman and a Black actor, being able to play this role and not be a Black woman and a Black actor in this role, just be a woman who is flawed and is doing what she needs to do. And it's funny how some people have, I mean, I'm running this thing, you know, and it's funny how some critics have like overlooked the fact that Karen is running this thing. You know, she run it. She's the boss. She's the boss. I'm telling you to go pick up your package. You know what I'm saying? But you know, so it's great for me to my first lead in a film to be this strong woman who, you know, runs things. And whether it's, you know, right or wrong, it's just great to be in that space, you know, and not be looked at as just like, oh, it's a nurse being all like, and I said, you know what I mean? So it was really, that's why I really had to do it. And I'm glad that they saw it in me. So I'm so grateful to this woman.
I was just about to ask you about the collaboration process, because how much does that benefit you having the writer and director with you on set, and how much does that inform your performance?
Oh my God, it's the best, because then I can ask her like, you know, because again, we had talked about backstory. We talked about backstory a lot, because I like to have, you know, why I'm doing things, and here's why I think I'm doing things, because it informs the performance.
Right.
And then, so she would also let us improv sometimes too, so that we can kind of really find like nuances or newer things. But we didn't really, you know, go far from her script, because the words, you know, were so great and it was so already funny. You don't have to add much to it. So it was just like, I mean, I don't even remember what half the stuff that was improv. And I don't even remember, I can't even go, oh, that was improv. That was improv, because it was so great, such great writing. So this was probably like the most stellar thing that I could have done for my, you know, for first lead. And I hope I get to do more work like this.
Now, Brea, I have one last question for you. How did this come about? You have one of my favorite WWE superstars of all time, Mick Foley, in this. How did that come about?
Well, you get David Arquette and then he gets Mick Foley. That's kind of like the short answer. But essentially, David was a producer on the movie, and so was his wife, Christina. And early on, they asked if I wanted a wrestler to make an appearance in the movie. And I don't know that much about wrestling, but I do know who Mick Foley is. And I was like, what about Mick Foley? And he flew in for one day and was very kind to everyone on set. He also, we shot in a small town, and when you're in a small town, people just show up to set, like it just random people. And that day it got out that Mick Foley was on set, and he was signing books all day long. And like, bless him, like so sweet. He would just sit there and like sign books for people and talk to people. And we shot in a real hospital, and he like visited people in their hospital rooms. He's just like the nicest. Yeah. So we feel very fortunate to have Mick.
It's amazing. Well, look, thank you guys so much for your time. Amazing job on the film. I can't wait for everyone to see it. And thank you for this representation of making women into humans and anti-heroes. Amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.